Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I am so happy to have on the channel Mr. HellHades himself. Thank you, sir, for coming on. We're going to be talking about the clan boss draft and the team that you picked up. I think there's a lot of people out there that think you have the best shot of winning this thing. How are you feeling after we finish the draft here?
I'm feeling pretty good, actually. So firstly, I've been really enjoying the challenge of doing this. And
yeah.
You know, I used to do some challenge stuff back in the day, and it's really good fun. It's kind of like you're playing Raid, you're playing the game that you played for a while, but you're actually pushed to do things with your account that you don't normally do on a day-to-day basis. And for me, that's perfect. And being clan boss as well, which has kind of always been my, probably the area of the game that I've enjoyed the most. I'm like, damn, this is a great competition. So yeah, I'm feeling in a pretty good spot.
Okay. Okay. I don't like the sounds of that, but okay.
Well, I was a bit nervous at first. So I was figuring, like, I don't have a healer. I don't have a natural damage dealer. So I was just kind of like, with the team that I've ended up with, it was like, I know that I just need to go long.
Right.
But yeah, we've been kind of working through some stuff. So I'm in a pretty good spot.
Let's go ahead and look at the picks you had. We're going to go ahead and put the we're going to go through this and kind of go a little bit pick by pick, kind of walk us through your thought process as this happened. Now, the first pick, I think the first three picks probably went as you expected, right? We all knew YST was going to take Brogni because of the champs that he had available. That was going to be almost definitely the best choice that was there. Chris went second to Cold Brew, and if he hadn't taken him, I would. So that was a pretty expected choice there.
Yeah, I'd already written off Chris in my account. I was like, there's absolutely zero chance Chris is on my team.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I had no plan if I took Chris. All I knew is that if he was available, I would take him and figure it out as I went, and it'd be totally okay. And then I had the third pick, and I took Demitha, which I think people expected, but might have come as a little bit of surprise. I'm not sure.
It was a surprise to me. I did not see you going an unkillable route, and so that actually did throw me off, because I thought it was going to go similar in terms of the first picks. I actually thought YST might pick up Lydia first as a champion. So I just assumed people would get their speed comp sorted early. That's what I assumed. So Chris, Lydia, and I actually thought you would then pick up someone like a Seeker or the Deacon,
right?
Or Michaud. Like they were the kind of ones I was expecting to go early. So when it got to me, I thought I was going to be picking up Brogni first pick.
Right.
In my head, I was like, that's where my plan was. It was like Brogni first pick.
You got a big wrench in their plans right off the jump then.
Yeah, so I was like, great, that's my damage, that's my shielding, that's my healing. Brogni was like, the YST picked it. I was like, right.
Brogni's really a linchpin for teams. He really makes a lot of teams work and work well. And so, if you're banking on that, that definitely throws some things for a loop there.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
But you ended up going with Lydia with your first pick, and I think that was a little bit of a surprise for some people. Now, Lydia's obviously outstanding, right? Brings so much to the table. Decreased defense, weaken, has a strengthen buff, which gets really overlooked. Also can deal pretty solid damage if you build her for it, and has that speed buff, which is obviously the most important part of her kit. The challenge with her, of course, is that she's one of two champions that you need for speed, because she can't do it 100%. By herself. And, that there's a lot of speed buff champions. So I figured there were more options out there. That's why I didn't expect her to go in that first round. But in hindsight, I think that was a great pick and really kind of set your team up for success, because it gives you a lot more flexibility because you're bringing so much to the table.
Yeah, so I knew, in my head, I had two choices at this point. So I knew that I had to pick, I wanted to pick my speed champion. That's the way I wanted to go first.
Sure.
And I was thinking between Michaud or Lydia. That was like my two. So Michaud gives me healing and my speed. And I know that Michaud pairs really well with Valk. And I was kind of like thinking, will I get Valk or not? I don't know. But then I just thought with Lydia, as long as I get a buff extender, I can make speed work. And I kind of, already when you start to see some picks, so you'd pick Demitha, and I was like, okay, well, that's kind of forcing your avenue a bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, so anyway, I just kind of thought to myself, Lydia, if I've got to go long, just gives me great options. And like you say, strengthen is actually a huge buff if you're trying to go long on clan boss.
It is.
So that just felt like to me, I needed to get my speed in Mashold's a little bit difficult to play around with as well because he runs through his buffs.
Yep. True.
On a long team, so he's a little bit harder to kind of work through. But yeah, that was the first pick.
I thought it was a great choice. I thought it worked out really well. How much did you picked number 4 in our draft, and we had a snake draft, so you picked 4th in the first round, 2nd in the second round.
Yeah.
How much did having those 2 picks, pretty close to each other, impact that choice and where you were trying to approach this thing from?
It definitely helped. In fact, I wanted to be in Scratch's position. I thought that would be.
I thought the last pick was going to be the best spot to draft from too. I really did. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely helped because I thought, well, I mean, it still could have easily fallen to pieces. Like Scratch absolutely could have just picked Valkyrie, and I do feel like with no Chris left, no Brogni, no Valk, that massively reduces my survivability. Like if you're trying to go long, those 3 champions really are insanely good for long surviving teams. So so I was nervous that Scratch would just pick Valk, and I assumed that he probably would. I assumed he was going to go for just a kind of team that was going long. So yeah, I was a bit nervous, but yeah, definitely having them close together does help.
And then Scratch, of course, went with Seeker, and then took, I think, through everybody for a turn when he took Sir Nicholas on top of that.
Definitely. I was so... Just the thing with that is, just like strategically, no one else is picking Sir Nick. Are they? Like, who else is picking Sir Nick?
Nobody.
So
I'm not. I already took the Mytha, right? Guaranteed.
Exactly.
That's my unkillable. Everybody else is already picked and is pretty committed to doing a traditional team. Although I suppose you could have switched it up if you wanted to, but yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. And so I was surprised that he picked. I wasn't surprised with Seeker. I figured that would be one of the kind of priority picks for. Even for it doesn't have to be an unkillable at that point. It would just be for any team that was going to try and do a 2-for-1. Seeker becomes really strong.
Yeah.
But the Sir Nick pick threw me out, and actually, it settled me a bit because then I thought, well, hold on a minute. I've only got 3 people now that I'm competing with my champion pool as such. Whereas I assumed it would be at least 4.
Yeah,
going for kind of standard clan boss teams, right? Old school teams. So that definitely made me feel a bit more comfortable with the direction. Because then, I mean, I know the kind of roles I'm trying to fill, and there's only so many champions that do kind of 2 things, and that's really what you're looking for if you're trying to build a solid team, I think.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about what's it called? Variability? That's not right. It's diversity, right? You want them to be able to do as much of stuff as possible, every one of those champions, which is why Lydia is so great, because she's not just bringing the speed and the strength and the decreased defense in the weekend. So you're getting so much in that you can either double up on it, which is always good, or you can, know that you can focus on other parts of the draft, especially as it gets into the later stages. So after you picked, right, you were able to get, after Lydia, you took Valkyrie. And I think without Lydia, it's a lot harder to have Valkyrie, because Valkyrie doesn't bring a lot of variety. She just is amazingly good at what she does.
She's a one-trick pony, but damn, what a pony.
It's a great trick. I love it. She's going to help you survive past turn 50 without any issues just by herself. And then, when you bring in other parts of your team, I'm sure you can, I'm sure you're hoping at least to push that a little bit further past that.
But I have to, right? So if you guys run in unkillable teams, you just go all out damage. As long as you get your speed tune working and stuff, you're basically building everybody for just all out maximum damage. Mm-hmm. Whereas my team,
we're building them for what? What are we building them for?
Maximum damage. My team, I'm building for longevity. Yeah, I have to. I have to survive way more turns to get anywhere near your damage. That's the type of that's pretty much what you're
that's the challenge other, right? With a traditional team, is that it's not just about building for damage, but you have to build for sustain. There's so many more statistics and skills that you have to really focus on, and it becomes tricky to do that. I love those teams because I think there's it's such a better puzzle to put together. Makes the game for me. Is the game part is more interesting that way, and I really wanted to do that.
I need a lot more buffs and debuffs in. Not a lot more debuffs, but I need certainly another debuff in play compared to what you and Scratch would be running.
Right.
So instantly, as soon as I've locked those two in,
that decreased attack is vital, right?
Yeah,
you just have to
I'm
have
thinking
it.
I need to cover decrease attack. I need to cover, things like ideally increase defense before Valk does a shield. I need to cover ally protection. There's a lot of other things that then start going through my head to think.
And
I have
healing.
to get champions that cover. Yeah, I've got to stay alive. And then you want to pick a damage dealer, and it's like, well, hold on, I can only pick 5.
Is this in the 7-person team? I'm confused.
Yeah.
But you took Valkyrie. I took Mashal next. Iron Brago went to
pick. That was a good pick. Shell pick, I think he just does a lot of damage.
I was happy with myself for thinking of it because I almost didn't think of him. I was like, God, I have to take Deacon. And then
I thought you were going to take Deacon. Yeah. So
I forgot Michelle was there for a hot minute, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This is the other person I was thinking about. Definitely need to take that one. And the crazy part, I didn't know if the tune was going to work. I was just like, well, we're going to pick it, and I think we can figure it out, but I don't know. But then Iron Brago, the next 4 picks after mine, I thought were really interesting, and I think they made for your team especially. Now, I was talking to Cold Brew earlier, and I was like, there's 3 moments in any fantasy draft that are the best moments, right? There's the one where you're watching somebody, and they're just struggling. They don't know what to do, and it's just, I don't know, it's a perverse pleasure, but I get a lot of joy out of watching that, right? That was Cold Brew for me most of this draft, actually, is just watching his face. The other ones are when you make the worst pick, and it's just silent. Nobody says anything because they don't have anything good to say about it, and they don't want to be a total jerk to you, and it's just that moment of like, that wasn't the pick, huh? Okay, cool. I also get a perverse pleasure out of that. But the best moment is when you make a pick and everybody else goes, ugh, because they all wanted them. And that, to me, was what happened. I certainly heard that from you on this next pick from Cold Brew, where he took Iron Brago. Both you and YST were like, come on.
Yeah. What a champion Iron Brago is in these like traditional teams. And the thing is, I don't know if you can see this very well. My writing's terrible, but this is my like notepad. And so what I was doing, I was writing abilities that I want.
You came prepared. You had
I was ready.
Notes that's the way to do. That's the way to do.
And so obviously some champions like go into different buckets, and they're doing a number of things. Iron Brago does a number of things, and he hits really hard. I was just like, so he was absolutely going to be my next pick. And obviously I had to get back round to myself, and by that point, Cold Brew's got 2 more, YST's got 2 more. It was unlikely to fall in, but he was definitely going to be my next pick. Because he makes the comp just way more solid. You just got increased defense on the whole time. You don't even need to worry about the defense numbers, basically.
The other thing that I think that gets, I think at least in this draft, it got overlooked was that passive ability of his, just to add defense to everybody. When you have a player power limit, that becomes really helpful.
Sure.
Yes. Really helpful, because now you don't have to worry about building that, and especially when you're trying to last a really long time, you can then focus more on the HP, which is going to give you more survivability. I mean, you have defensive champions, you need to build defense so they can do damage, but that he's only adding to that as well, right? So I absolutely, that was a tough one. And then YST took Taragi. Then he took
again Deacon. A great pick.
Oh,
great. Taragi was like all over my list, like in terms of a champion that I wanted as well. So, and in fact, Taragi does. So I then go to my next choice, who does the same thing as Taragi, which is like a Surga or Kyoku. Those two are basically doing the same job. But I felt like they don't do it as well. So Taragi again was like high up there in terms of my priority. I
recently did a video on like the best poisoners in my opinion for clan boss, right? And like one of the caveats I say is like, best poisoners doesn't mean they put up the most poisons necessarily. It's just they're doing stuff for your team while they're doing that. And I had Taragi, I think he was number 2, I think, right behind Draco for me, because his passive ability will just stack the poison, especially when you're going against Affinity. And, on top of that, he's doing a massive job of healing, helping your team, surviving. Really great one.
So much going on. Yeah, it was a good pick.
So it went Taragi. I actually loved YST's first 3 picks. I thought they were really on point. He went Taragi, Deacon. It's going to be really interesting to actually see the changes that he made to his team, because it's some interesting calculations that he put together.
What he said at the end is that, I don't know if he's followed this through, actually, but he said he was going to sub Deacon out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe what he was saying, honestly, because I was thinking, like you said, those first 3 picks, he's actually creating a really great team there. And on a 2-for-1, personally, I would have kept going with the 2-for-1. I think the 2-for-1 give you the damage over this type of thing.
I felt the exact same way, but it was really interesting. I was talking to him on stream yesterday, and we should have the video up by the time that this goes live, so people can go watch me talking with YST. But it's really interesting hearing him talk about it, because he's really going full damage mitigation.
Yeah, which is fun, actually. I'm interested to see where he goes with it.
It's a great idea, and he's really happy with the damage he does. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a winning team, right? But the fact he's already playing with a handicapped, right? Because he doesn't have the kind of champions available that we did. I don't know that his gear level's there. So, like, for him, it's already a hard road. But, building a really unique, interesting team like the one he's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm most interested to see his team. Out of all the teams, out of all the speed teams, his is the one I'm most curious about and most excited about, because it's like, he's using that brain stuff. It's the reason why I bring you guys on here. It's like creative kids, right? We all can come up with some cool stuff.
Well, it's actually really cool for viewers as well, because they get to see how different comps start to meld together. And not everyone's going to be able to build a 2-for-1 team and that type of stuff. So actually, looking at what YST does, it might just help somebody else who's out there trying to build a clan boss team. They might look at their champions and think, hold on a minute, I've kind of got 3 or 4 of these pieces that can kind of start to form their team. So
absolutely,
it's cool to see the variations that we've all got going on.
Oh yeah, and not only that, but it helps you think outside the box. Like, what are different ways I can build a team? Like, what are the things that I need? Yeah. Do I need to go at a 2-1 ratio? You know what? No, you don't. There's a variety of ways to approach this thing, and it's all dependent on who you have available and the gear that you can put on them, right? And so this is, I'm totally with you. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he produces. Like I said, I'm more excited about that than anything. But he went Deacon, and then the next pick, cold brewed you again.
Yeah,
by taking your choice.
Oh man, this was absolutely like my next pick. So Iron Brago was one that I wanted. But I knew that I had to get an extender to make Lydia viable. Basically, to go 2-for-1 myself, which I wanted to do, I needed to get a buff extender.
There's 2 approaches to getting to a 2-1 ratio. You bring someone that can boost your speed, give you a turn meter boost every other turn, someone like Seeker or Deacon, or you get someone that can keep increased speed on your champions 100% of the time. And you can do that 2 ways. You can, 3 ways if you have Mashal's 1 way. Because on a 2-turn cooldown, basically. But you can also bring in a speed champion like a Lydia and pair them with another speed champion, like say like a Haikatun or something. Or you bring an extender so that those buffs stay on your champions longer. And one of the best ways to do that is with the champion Cold Brew took, Godseeker Neri, who hits like a truck, heals your team, and will extend those buffs.
Well, such a good champion. And also, it's the healing thing. So I knew that I didn't have a healer. I didn't have a healer. And although I've got Valk shields, I'm looking to go past turn 50.
Right.
And eventually those shields start to get beaten away.
Usually around turn 50, they start to really start cracking, and you need something else. You need to heal up so you can put them up on again and survive longer. Yeah, absolutely.
And especially when you're on a 2-for-1, actually you get that healing coming through. Actually pretty nice. Like Godseeker can do probably enough.
Yes.
By herself in that style of team. So
you do need to pair her with, ally protection.
Yes.
Or a massive shield like Valkyrie has, right? She can't do it on a without any of that going on. But you're right. Like I've done those teams and they're amazing,
So she was absolutely like next pick for me, and then Cold Brew's picked her, and I didn't think Cold Brew would, because in my head I'm thinking, well, he's got Chris, which puts the speed up. Chris actually extends buffs himself,
right?
So I didn't think he needed a second extension.
But you do, even with the Krisk, you need that extension or another speed champ.
So it just went out of my head, and I was just thinking, okay. So I thought it was like nailed on. Godseeker's mine. Like, just I thought, nailed on, I've got Godseeker. And then he's picked her right before I'm due to go, and I was like, no, thrown me out big time. So
One of my favorite moments of the draft. I love that. I love that moment. Not only was there a groan, but then you had to I got to watch you go, who do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
That was
what do I
great.
do next? Yeah.
So how did you feel? Your next pick was Sandlashed Survivor. Was that, throwing this out there, was that a panic pick? Or was that somebody that you're happy with taking in that spot?
I've used Sandlashed before a lot.
She's great.
Before Godseeker came out, really, actually. I used to use Sandlashed a lot in teams. And again, gives me the extender. Also, this is something which people don't really realize about Sandlashed. Sandlashed gives you a clutch survival moment. And, your stun target is about to die. Suddenly, Sandlashed passive kicks in, and you survive another full rotation of turns that you wasn't going to survive.
Yeah.
The fun thing with a 2-for-1 team is that Sandlashed actually gets that back again and again and again every time that stun hit comes in. So you can actually get quite a lot of clutch moments with Sandlashed. So it's not ideal. I'd rather have had the healer, or rather have had Godseeker, but Sandlashed she was on my list underneath Godseeker. Well, actually, Dimitha, Godseeker, Sandlashed. They were like my three.
That's fair.
Reference picks for that type of role. But yeah, she was there, but definitely Godseeker would have been a preference.
Yeah, I can see that. I think Sandlash is a really good champion. The hard part.
It's hard as well, actually. And I'm building a defensive team. I'm going to be having increased defense up all the time, ideally. Hadn't got to that part yet, but I knew I wanted that. So that's basically I'm building people with like-minded damage, which again is important if you're trying to build a team like this. It's making sure that there's synergies between buffs, and also synergies between Affinity can be quite helpful as well. Which Sandlash kind of fit what I was doing.
I didn't think about the Affinity part about that. That's something I definitely overlooked when I was, theory crafting the whole team and stuff like that. But you're right. If you can synergize it, because we only need one run, baby. It's only one run. I ain't got to watch this every day. So just one run. So hit the right Affinity. That makes things a lot easier for you. So, okay, you took Sandlashed Survivor. I had taken Turvold right before that, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't somebody that was...
I'm interested to see Turvold smack him away, by the way. That's
great. It's great.
That's always something which is fun to see.
He's putting up, with my early tests, he's putting up some nice numbers with that A3. It's...
I wish I had Turvold. That would have been... Yeah. That's one I'd love to get.
So we got Sandlash, and then Draco and Ninja were taken by Scratch, which I thought were great picks. Not only was Draco just a good pick for his team, but also I think really kind of messed up some of those traditional teams, because he's such a clutch performer in that, bringing the decreased defense and weekend, bringing the poisons. For you, because you already had Lydia, I'm pretty sure wasn't even on your list. And so your next pick, you went with Ursuga, which I was surprised by. Probably not the person I would have taken in that spot, but not a bad champion at all. Actually, really good champion for Clan Boss. Just generally better in Arena, which is why we use her there. But maybe you can walk us through a little bit with the choice behind that pick.
Yeah, so in my head, I'm thinking I've got 4 things that I need to cover left.
Jesus.
4 things.
This reminds me of every takeover I've ever done. I'm like, okay, we got these 3. Oh, God, I need this and that. Oh, why? Yeah. Oh, why? Okay.
When we get to my last pick, I'll tell you something which was going through my head as well, by the way. But yeah, 4 things I needed to cover. I needed to cover ally protection, decrease attack, increase defense, and block debuffs. Yeah. Or some way of stopping the stun from messing me up. Okay, so that's hard. Like in 2 champions, that's really tough to cover those things.
Yeah.
And Taragi would have been my first choice as an ally protector plus decrease attack. Already gone. So then I've got 2 champions and I knew I needed a really strong ally protection champion. Because that's how I'm going to go long. Without that, I don't think you go long really in the traditional teams.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a Surga that I've used before in big teams, and she is, I think, the only ally protector in the game. Might be wrong, but I think she's the only one that keeps it up 100% of the time. So she's actually got it on a 3-turn, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown.
You know what? I totally forgot about that. That's massive.
Yeah, it covers the stun as well, which means that the stun hit which can be the reason that your team dies, actually it's less of a problem.
Yeah.
And she's bringing decreased attack as well. So
I totally forgot about that. That is a massive add. Yeah, that's really large.
The downside is she doesn't really hit that hard.
Oh yeah.
That's her weakness. And at this point, I was looking pretty sketchy for damage. You know, got Lydia, she's kind of like,
yeah.
You know, Valk can do good damage. Sandlashed can do okay damage.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted, and I don't have a damage dealer yet, and I don't have a spot for one either, by the way. So I didn't really want to take her. But the other champion that was in my mind was Kyoku.
Yeah.
I've played with Kyoku quite a lot, or a bit anyway, and I found her very difficult to speed tune on a 2-for-1.
She's a tough one.
Really difficult. And she runs through buffs, and she's just kind of like throwing your team out. She was. I tried doing one on a live stream. I was like, Kyoku, brilliant, let's do this. And I'm plugging it into a team which I thought would just work, and it was just not working. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is not what I was expecting.
I think I talked to you about on your live stream the other day, but I built a Kyoku, like a 1-1 ratio team, have a video out on that. She is an amazing champion. Like literally, I think one of my favorite clan boss champions at the moment. Just one of the hardest to speed tune though. Like just so difficult. So I mean, it's one of those things where if you can use her, it's amazing, but it's so hard to do that.
Yeah. I didn't want to push myself in that route. By the way, I figured if I pick her now, and I can't make it work, then that stuffs my whole team.
See, that's smart because you're giving yourself the option to go a different direction, and I think that's really important. That's not bad.
But spoiler, she was my sub. And, she's coming in. So we don't end up seeing Kyoku, not a Surga.
Okay.
Or Suga. Yeah. So
you made it work. Yeah, is what you're telling me.
We've got a tune going, which I'm pretty pleased with actually. So, but honestly, the amount of times we spent almost a whole day like going back and forth, me and Saf from HH Gaming, going back and forth around how do we make this work? How do we cover buffs? How do we, it was just incredibly difficult to do. But we do have a speed tune which Kyoku can fit into quite nicely. So she is actually coming in, and she did the same job. Ally protection, decrease attack, which was the two kind of things I needed to fill.
Well, and most importantly, you have a buff extender. And I think with Kyoku, if you're going to use her in anything faster than a 1-1 ratio, you absolutely have to have a buff extender to make that work. Otherwise, she's just kind of a niche. I'm gonna help on one attack kind of champion, which is a little bit of a waste of her kit. Although she's one of the hardest hitting champions in this game, so just based off her debuffs, I think she's actually worth bringing into a lot of teams. And it seems that could be pretty good. And then your last pick, as we kept going through, Fushan was taken, Farrakhan the Fat, Geomancer, Tyrant, Martyr, Runekeeper, and then you finish it off with Tatura. Now, those previous picks, I was sure like Martyr was going to go a lot sooner. I thought Geomancer was a wonderful pick. Yeah. But I was pretty sure none of those were really on your radar, that you'd be pretty focused on somebody like Tatura to help you with the debuffs.
Yeah, so I was thinking you were going right before me, and your comp was kind of nailed on. And I was wondering if you would go into straight pick Tatura to screw me over. Because Tatura really was like a big pick for me. That was, in my head it was anyway. So I was looking at it thinking, I have got to deal with this stun. I don't have an increased defense champion yet. And I also didn't really have any damage. And
which
Tatura kind of
Tatura does
damage. Like Tatura hits hard, and she's got an ability that will give me increased defense for a decent amount of the time. Not quite Iron Brago standard, but decent amount of time.
She hits, yeah. She does good stuff.
Yeah, so I just 100% thought you were going to pick Tatura just because, and then just use your kind of sub to bring in your champion that you wanted.
I mean, here's the thing. The thought crossed my mind to mess somebody up. I did not think of Tatura. When you picked her, I was like, wait, who? And then when you said it, I was like, she just left my mind. There's so many champions. It's hard to keep them all in my head. And I totally forgot about her. And I was just like, that's a perfect pick. Absolutely perfect pick there.
Because I was either going to do that, or in my head I was thinking, do I go Bad L, which would be a cleanse
and healing,
a bit of poison, healing, and a damage increase. But I wanted the increased defense because everyone else I'd picked so far was kind of, damage numbers were going to come from defense. I got Valk where I wanted a bigger shield through defense. So, it was Adel was the other pick that was kind of like 50-50 on really. And actually Tatura shocked me in the kind of testing that I've done so far in terms of even the Veil. Like I have learned a lot about
helpful.
Clan Boss stun in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like and there's these almost like things that you just don't find out again unless you retest. Like I've probably done this in the past, but I was thinking, right, if I've got an affinity preference for Clan Boss, like I've got all spirit apart from Lydia, and I was like, well, if Lydia's got increased defense up, will the Clan Boss still go for Lydia, or will the Clan Boss, if she's the only one with increased defense, and it turns out that if she's the only one with increased defense and the Clan Boss wants to stun someone, she's still the one that's going to get stunned. I was like, okay. So that kind of like solidified.
As opposed to someone that's weak affinity.
No, so positive. So I was thinking positive affinity versus neutral affinity, but with increased defense. I thought Clan Boss would see increased defense as the stronger champion and actually go with one of the
positive
weak
affinity ones.
People. Yeah. But I was wrong.
Interesting.
And then when we started to kind of mess around with the tune a bit more, I actually wanted Tatura to be my stun target. And I was like, I wonder if Veil on everybody overrides affinity now, because like increased defense didn't. And it does.
Yes.
So actually, we kind of like, over the course of 24 hours, kind of changed who my stun target's going to be, playing around with stuff, which is really fun to do. Like it's really interesting when you get into that sort of level of detail, trying to make the best possible kind of targeting,
I am so intrigued right now. I'm so intrigued right now in what you're going to do, what you're going to build. Like every single one of you guys I've talked to, and I've talked to all of you now, I am just so curious as to the team that you're going to do. I cannot wait to show this on stream. This is just going to be amazing. Yeah, so guys, if you want to catch all these builds, you want to see HellHades' amazing team, it's going to be Friday on my Twitch channel, Deadwood Jedi, twitch.tv/Deadwood Jedi. That's the thing. And we're going to be going at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, the 26th, I want to say, 27th?
Yeah. 27th.
On the 27th, right? 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's 5 p.m. UTC. So for Mr. HellHades, it's going to be at 6 p.m., just in time for dinner. For if you're in New York, it's going to be at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So make sure to come by and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. How confident are you feeling? Are you going to win this thing?
I'm going to win this thing.
No, wow.
I don't know. Honestly,
wow! Oh, guys, he threw the gauntlet down. He called you all out. Threw it down.
When we was in stream, I was watching all your chat, and a lot of people, I kept seeing like, YST and HellHades who got no damage definitely last, and I was like, hold on a minute. I know a thing or two about Clan Boss. I think I'm in with a shot.
Okay. All right. I'm nervous now. I don't like this at all. I
am quite competitive, so
yeah. We made an executive decision to raise the player power limit because it was basically impossible for HellHades and Cold Brew to build a traditional team with the player power limit we had originally. You have 5 champions you have to gear out. It's too hard. So we did raise that to 350 for everybody. I'm regretting that decision already, but
I had everyone with no ring on, no amulet on, and I was still I was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
hard. Yeah.
So definitely regrets are on my side of things, so agreeing to that, but it should be good. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be great. I know you got your money on yourself. I think I have a pretty good shot at this thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how confident are you? With the team that you've together.
Well, the limit of every unkillable team is just 50 turns. So you got a lot of damage in those 50 turns, and I have very good gear, but I don't have that good of gear necessarily to overtake necessarily you or Scratch. So I'm a little bit nervous about it, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm going to be competitive. I feel like I have a shot, but I don't know if I'm going to win this thing. So I got to go re-gear.
Who's your money on?
I think my money is on either you or me. I think that's it.
Oh, really? Right.
I would say. Let's say. Let me put some odds on this.
People were saying Scratch at first, weren't they? And
yeah, I think
Scratch has got.
I think Scratch is definitely in the running. Right? Don't get me wrong. So I would say I think us three are probably the favorites. I would give you probably 2-1 odds. I'd give myself maybe, 7-3 odds, and I would give Scratch probably like 9, like I don't know what it'd be like 9-4. Like what's the next level? Just a little bit below me. I think I like his team a lot, and Ninja is an insane champion, and he has insane gear. So
and Draco, yeah,
right. But I have a third damage dealer, and I do think that makes a difference. I mean, of course, I have the Mytha that's like no damage, so there's a balance there. But I do feel like I have a better shot at it. But it's going to be tricky. I might have a substitution up my sleeve too, so I might have a little bit of ways to pump those numbers up just a little bit more. So I'm interested
to see what you end up doing, because I know obviously Turvold can smack super hard.
Oh, dude, he's going to be doing super good damage. It's gret. But it's going to be,
It's just how many times can you get him to hit? That's the question.
That's, well, I mean, I can calculate. He's going to have 100 hits or just about that. 50 turns going twice. Yeah. That's, So, but it's interesting. I mean, I think the difference is going to be how long can your team last. If your team can survive a nice long run, you're going to have a real good shot at winning this thing. But, if you're confident, that means you're putting up some good numbers already. So I'm a little nervous now. Definitely a little nervous now. All right. Well, thank you for coming by, man. This is awesome. I'm really glad you're being a part of this, and I already can't wait for the next one.
Loads of fun. Yeah, loads of fun.
I was telling Colby, I'm having more fun doing this than anything I've done in Raid in the 2 years I've been covering it. It is easily the most fun I've had, and I haven't, I've just been busy, but I'm like, this is great. Well, hey, thanks for coming by. Guys, make sure to go sub to HellHades if you haven't already. I don't know what rock you're living under, but definitely make sure to go do that. I'll have him linked down below in the pinned comment description of this video. Also, go check me out on his channel. I came on his stream, and he puts I think you posted a video about that already.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about Clan Boss, talking about this stuff, and it was a blast to do. As always, my fellow Raid owner over here.
I'm well still.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. That's all we got for today. So till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.
Thanks so much.